Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Simple C10, and on today's episode, we're gonna get started on this LS swap for Sunny the 60. I've been super pumped about this. I've only done one other LS swap. People reach out all the time and think I'm an LS swap guru. I am definitely far from that. I've done one LS swap on Francis. I learned a lot on that build, so that's why on this LS swap, I really wanted to break it down in more detail. Now, let me let you know this from the front end. I don't know a lot of the internal stuff. As you can see, this is a fully complete long block. I got this long block from Summit. It was about $3,800. It's 450 horsepower. It has a cam in it. It has everything spec'd where I can just pull it off the crate and bolt all the vintage Delmo classic LS style stuff to it. And that's what we're gonna do. I still have to put the oil pan in the front and everything, so I'll walk you through that. Maybe you bought an engine, you took it to a machine shop and you get it back and it's something similar to this. Throughout this video series, I'm gonna be referring to the LS swap guide a lot, because in these videos, it's really hard to break down every little detail of something. I always forget something because I'm really excited about getting to work on the vehicle that things slip my mind. That's just reality. That's why I like to put everything into these guides, because on the guides, I can go back and add stuff, take stuff away, and really give you clear direction on how to do different things to your vehicle. So I may mention a lot of stuff in this video. It'll probably end up being pretty long, and there's going to be a lot of different things that I talk about. So refer back to the LS swap guide for a full breakdown of everything that I'm talking about in this video and then also in future videos. All right, guys, y'all buckle in, because I'm going to take you along for the ride with this LS swap. I'm going to show you every single little thing that I bolt on, the sensors, the intake, what I do with the wiring, how I get that vintage classic style look with the air cleaner and the Aces jackpot system. So if you're new to this, or maybe you've done it a million times and you want to just learn how to get better, then stay tuned for this series. I don't know how many videos it's going to be, but I'm going to break it down. Check out the LS guide. It's on the website, simpleC10.co. I sell parts, merch. I have all the guides for air ride suspension for every year C10. I'm going to have the LS swap guide on there. There's a lowering guide. There's a lot of different things on my website beyond parts. There's a lot of resources and stuff that'll help you build your truck. Just a heads up, I know you guys are used to me kind of offering all the parts that I talk about on the build, which I really like to be able to do that, but on a build like this, I'm not able to offer all the parts because there's GM made sensors and things like that. So I will link everything in the LS guide. So if you're looking for a specific part or something that I talked about, maybe a gasket or something like that, all that will be linked on that guide. So if it links back to my website, that means I got it. If it links to Amazon, that means that's where I got it. Let's go ahead and get started on this build. First, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this crate long block and just a little bit of the specs and why I chose to do a crate long block. Here is the long block from Summit. It's about $3,800, and it comes just like this, right off the crate. And the heads come installed. It's already got the cam, everything's to spec, 450 horsepower, just ready to go. And what I love about this is it allows me to just bolt all the cool stuff to it, to paint the block, to do the intake, the oil pan. Basically, it gives me a perfect kind of canvas for what I want to do with the classic style LS. You could buy one of these engines that already have the intake and the pan, and a lot of that stuff isn't what we're going for, so we pull all that off and then put our stuff. By buying an engine, or just by stripping your engine, maybe you have down to this, you're ready to install all the goodies on there. So you may be thinking, why did you go with a crate engine for $3,800? Can't you just buy a junkyard engine for $1,000 and fix it up? The answer to that is yes, but I did that on Francis. I bought a $1,000 engine from a buddy, and then it ended up having a cracked head on it. I replaced the head, and it snowballed into going in the machine shop and then paying to have the cam put in it and everything like that. And I ended up having about $3,000 in an engine that didn't have 450 horsepower. It was pretty basic. It had been gone through, but nothing special, and it didn't have a warranty. With this long block right here, Summit gives a 2-year unlimited mile warranty on it, $3,800. They've already done all the work. I didn't have to take it to the machine shop. I didn't have to, take everything off of it and take it apart. It showed up on a crate, ready to go. I put it on a stand, and here we are. So that made it worth it to me, because I'm not very well versed in going internal in engine yet. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, well, I could have tore that thing apart and put the cam in myself. Awesome, man. That'll save you a lot of money. And hopefully one day I'll be there where I can just get a block and heads and do it all myself and save a little bit of money. But for me, where I'm at right now, I'm really good at just bolting things on and making them look really good when it comes to engines. The thing with buying a crate engine, though, you do have to go and get all the sensors and everything like that. And that takes a little bit of knowledge, but let me show you something that has helped me tremendously. This is the workbench how-to from SA Designs, how to rebuild your GM LS Series engine. Over 600 step-by-step color photos. Like, this is speaking my language right here. I bought this book and I started just diving into it, reading everything about it. It does show you step by step how to do the internal stuff too. So I'm learning, but what this helps me do is I can skip over the steps that are already done on the crate engine, and it will give me the torque specs, the installation kind of protocol for installing, all the different covers, the oil pump, the valley cover, all that kind of stuff that you need to know the torque specs of and what order to do it, what things to put RTV on so you won't have leaks. It's all in this. And this is available on Amazon. I just bought it, but check this out. It's so great. Like, this thing goes into depth. This is what I hope my LS guides and my air ride guides eventually develop into one day, is to have a book like this that helps people understand. And they're not speaking another language in here either, as far as like, you can understand this. The way that it's broke down is just like normal people talking through it. It's very straight to the point. There's no opinions. It's just facts in there. So highly recommend this. I'm going to link this in the LS guide and in the description of this video, but I highly recommend this. Before we dive into the engine part, I wanted to just give you a quick rundown of some of the stuff I have laid out here. First thing you see here is Cerakote. It is a similar coating to powder coat, but it's high heat. This is what a lot of people are using now to spray their engines, the exhaust manifolds, all that kind of stuff. So I have a starter kit. They sent me a starter kit to try that has 2 different bronzes and a black. And this is air dry. So I thought that all of this engine coating stuff and powder coat, all that had to be baked. Well, their C series is an air dry. You just let it air dry for 5 days and it will hold up to extreme heat. So it comes with a gun and everything. I need to go get a regulator for the gun before I spray it, but I've got the tape and everything. Comes with a beaker to mix it up. This actually is ready to go straight out of the bottle. Shake it up really good, pour it directly into the spray gun. The C series is ready to go. Got to install an oil pump on the front. On a crate engine, it doesn't come with the oil pump, so you got to buy an oil pump and the hardware. And this is a little bracket kit that I got from Amazon. I'll show you how to use it in just a second. But whenever you're aligning the front cover and the rear cover, the bottom of it goes against the oil pan, so you need everything flush. So when this bolts to where the oil pan does, it allows you to install your covers directly flush, so you have a really good seal. Here are the different sensors that I need, and whenever it gets to that point after the block is painted, I will go into depth of all the sensors that you need. Because whenever you buy a crate engine, or if you buy one, you know, from a junkyard, a lot of the times it's safe to go ahead and replace your sensors. I've got the front cover here with new gaskets and the hardware. This is a valley cover from Holley, and make sure if you're doing the vintage style LS that I'm showing you, get a valley cover that has the oil fill here. If you don't, then you're going to have to take your valve cover off to put oil in the truck. And I did that with the Holley covers. They're really nice, but you've got to take the valve cover off to get to the oil fill. So go ahead and just get this one. I will be painting this the same color as the engine. Get some hardware. This is for the timing cover and the valley cover hardware. With the Delmo adapter plate that allows you to use a small block valve cover on there, you need just some of your basic LS valve cover seals. The adapter plate uses these seals, and then you use a small block seal on top of the Delmo adapter plate to bolt your small block. I ordered these seals. They ended up being super thick, so I'm going to go back and get some that are a little bit thinner. The thick ones work great. I just don't want the valve cover sticking off of the Delmo thing, you know, 1/8 of an inch. And that won't look that good painted either if I go to paint it. This bolts to the bottom of the engine and underneath the oil pan. And the reason you have to get this style is this one is cut shorter. From the factory, this is about this much longer. And whenever you go to install the shallow oil pan, it hits and it won't let you bolt it in. You can either cut off your factory one right in front of this bolt hole right here, or you can just buy one. They're pretty cheap. Whenever I bought the Speed Engineering oil pan, it had a link down in the description that had just a cut tray, so it's ready to go. So you can get these knockoff LS Swap oil pans from Amazon and a lot of other places. What I love about Speed Engineering, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but it comes with all the hardware, the oil filter, the pickup tube, the dipstick, and the actual gasket right here. So I rather buy stuff that's just all together. Yeah, I could put together everything that I need, but if it just comes to me all at once and everything works together, I'd rather just pay for a quality one. And here is one of the things I'm most excited about that's really going to help me turn this engine into the classic style, is the mid-rise setup from Aces. So this is going to come with a single plane intake. It's got a carb style that's made for EFI and the fuel rails. So you can buy a Delmo kit that is a drive-by-wire, or to use your current kind of truck throttle body, or you can buy this Aces kit that comes with the computer, the wiring harness, the single plane intake, the display, and everything. So this basically replaces the Holley Terminator, but then also gives you your retro style intake and everything that you need. So I'm hoping that this really saves me a lot of time and effort. And this will plug directly into the Delmo ignition coil kind of bracket that I have. I ran out of room, but here is the Delmo. This is your classic kind of small block valve covers that I'm going to put on there. I'm going to paint those bronze as well. And then the valve cover adapters that go on to the heads, and then you put a gasket on there, and then these mount your ignition coils on both sides, and then these will install into the Dell distributor. So these mount into this Dell distributor and make a cluster, and this mounts on the back of the engine to make it look like a distributor. But this is just a quick run through, guys. I'm gonna break all this stuff down in depth. When I get to this, I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to show you every step that it takes. So that's just a quick run through of some of the parts that I got. As I get to each step, as I'm installing the parts, I will let you guys know what I used, where I got it, and everything. So this video series is probably going to be a little bit longer than my typical videos, but I think people that are doing this install on their truck will appreciate it, because that's one of the hardest things. Is there's so many LS swap videos and they give a breakdown of, hey, you need, a fuel pump, you need this, you need that, but they don't go into kind of the nooks and crannies, the little stuff that I really want to know, because it's the little stuff that holds you back. You get everything very close to installed and you didn't realize that you need that specific style bolt for the valve covers or whatever it is. And if you could have just ordered that stuff on the front end, you could have kept making progress. So that's what I'm here for. I'm going to do my best to break it down. But first step on this is installing the oil pump, getting the front cover on there, and then getting the oil pan on there, because I want to get this, everything buttoned up to get it ready to spray, to tape up and then to spray. Bolt her down. I have seen on some high horsepower applications where you can take this piece off and use a feeler gauge on the top and bottom to align the oil pump. On this setup, it should be fine without all the alignment. Once you turn this one full revolution, it kind of self aligns. Put our alignment plate on. Next step is the windage tray right here. It has rear on the back. If you're using your factory one, remember you'll want to cut it right in front of this bolt right here, just enough to bolt it in. You can buy them that come in the right size. So I just did that. Set this on here and we'll go ahead and get some of the bolts started. Leave this bolt out because that is where the oil pickup tube is going to go. Next up is the front cover here. You'll want to go ahead and slide on a gasket. It only goes on one way. And right now we're just going to get these finger tight. As you can see here, the oil pan is going to mount to the top of this. So we need to make sure this surface and this surface are flush. And you could do that with a level or a square or something like that. But I bought a specific bracket that's going to help us make sure we get it good, because the majority of leaks that LSs have are from these covers right here. So right in here is where everything likes to leak, where it butts up against each other. So you can use this bracket right here. I'll link it in the description. It has a cutout for the pickup tube, but we're just going to lay that on there and we're going to tighten down these bolts. So this is going to act like the oil pan and make everything flush, and it'll also pull up this tight with the bottom. So when we get this all torqued to spec, we're going to know this is exactly where we need it whenever we do the oil pan. Now it's time for the oil pan. We're going to take out our gasket. Here's our pan. We're going to take our gasket. Make sure that your tray is mounted in there. We're going to just slide this on. It only goes on one way. And we're going to go ahead and slide in some bolts, as many bolts as we can. without them falling out. And here is a really important step. I mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. Where these places meet up with the front covers, even though there's a little bit of gasket there and the new oil pan will have a gasket that seals that, we'll want to put RTV on each corner. An inch bead right there. And then align it to the best of your ability right here. All right, last thing we have to bolt on right now is the valley cover. As I mentioned earlier, whenever you do this, get the valley cover with the fill in it. If you're doing the valve covers, the small block or the Holly style, go ahead and just get this one. I don't even think it was much more expensive to get the chrome cap and be able to put your oil in through the front. So you're just going to clean the surface, put in this gasket. It only goes in one way and it's not that way. Now you could tape this whole thing off and paint it and then come in and install this later if you didn't want this painted, or you could just spray this separately, come in and then install the hardware. But instead of painting the hardware, painting this, painting everything separate, I want to go ahead and just install this, and I'll tape up for this right here and just spray everything because I want the hardware to be the same color as the valley cover. I'm using some of the Sweet Patina Get Gone degreaser. I didn't soak it, I just kind of got it wet on the areas I wanted to scrub a little bit. I'll probably flip the engine over and do all the engine on the bottom as well. I'm using a scuff pad right here just to scuff up the areas that I want to clean up a little bit. Just want to clean it as much as I can. After I get it all scrubbed down, I'm going to use some of this Sweet Patina wax and grease remover, and that'll be the last step before masking everything off. Getting ready to tape up the engine. It's almost time to throw some paint on this thing. And there's a million different ways you can tape up these. Some people cover the water jackets here. Some will tape off the hole, like where the headers bolt on and where the intake. I'm going to stick with what worked for me on Francis. I'm just going to cut out as small as I can any of the holes and just cover up the holes. I'm not going to worry about all the threaded sections. I don't think enough paint gets into the threads. I'm not going to be just slamming the Cerakote on there. I'm going to lightly coat the whole thing a couple times, but just tape off the holes anywhere that there's going to be a sensor or anywhere that goes internal in the engine. I'm going to tape around this rubber gasket right here. And last time I was kind of stressed about getting everything perfect, and what I found out, if you can just get it close, a lot of the times the gaskets or the different parts are going to hide a lot of this. So once you get everything bolted in, you're not even really going to notice if something's not perfect. Just try to get it as detailed as you can. I know some people in the comments will probably say, hey, don't paint on any of the surfaces that a gasket is going to go up against. And I see some people do that, but on Francis, I painted everything and I put the gasket, even the headers, directly on a painted surface. With this being Cerakote, it's a high temp, high just strength coating. So I'm not worried about the headers or the gaskets or anything not fitting well or not sealing well. But All right, let's get to it. This is kind of the most time-consuming part of this. I've got the engine all taped up. It's looking good. It's all cleaned up as well as much as I can get it. Make sure to fill the sensor holes, the dipstick, spark plugs, headers, valve covers. You could use some old valve covers and some old spark plugs to fill those holes, but I don't have those, so I just taped everything up and it looks good. Now, to spray it, I don't have a really good place to spray in here. I got a nice garage, so I come up with an idea of buying one of these pop-up paint booths. This is just kind of like a tent that just pops up, and it has an exhaust area where you can put a 20 by 20 fan and a filter. So I'm going to try that out. I am planning on getting an inflatable, like 15 by 20 that I can blow up in the driveway whenever I get ready to do the interior of that truck and maybe the firewall. Just a blow up paint booth. But for smaller stuff, I didn't want to have to blow up the whole paint booth. So I just grabbed one of those. We'll see. I've never used one. Box, and let's see what we got going on. I think we're getting somewhere. There we go. Whew. Took me a minute to figure out where to pull from. This is going to go on the back side. And there's little straps. You take a 20 by 20 filter and you put that in between the fan and the booth. Shout out to our friends over at Cerakote. I reached out and they sent me a starter pack, and a starter pack comes with this gun, an HVLP gun. I put this regulator on there, but you don't have to have that. You can regulate it here as well. It comes with 3 different colors, so I chose 2 different bronzes and a black. So I've got burnt bronze, vortex bronze, and black velvet. And the burnt bronze is what I'm going to go with on the engine block. I'm going to spray that. The cool thing about C series is it's an air dry. So you can bake this, but you can leave it out for 5 days to cure and you don't have to have an oven to bake it in. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to try this. I was just going to use paint, but you can do your headers, your engine, everything in Cerakote, and it has a really nice kind of flat look to it. It's different than paint. It looks really good, and I'm excited to be able to use it. So it comes with a gun, a measuring beaker, which on this doesn't require any hardener or anything. This is straight out of this. Just shake it up really good, put a strainer in there, and then strain it out. I've got my air set to 30 psi into the gun, and then I've got a piece of cardboard over there that I'm going to test. So again, this is air dry, but it will go up, I think it said like 2,000 degrees or something whenever it's fully cured, which is crazy. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in the gun and test out the fan pattern, then push the LS in there and begin to paint this block. I'm kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie, but some things in life you just have to kind of try and hope you succeed. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, hoping and praying that everything works out well. I don't have a lot of light right here, but check that out. All right, the little paint booth actually did really well. There's no overspray around it. It kept it all kind of in there. It does get a little bit foggy if you go heavy, but the fan pulled it. You can see that filter is dirty, so it definitely filtered it. But let's check this engine out. There we go. Got it wheeled out in some good lighting now. As you can see, I think the video I posted yesterday, it looked more gold, where now the color has really toned down, or kind of darkened, I guess you would say, to the burnt bronze, which is what I was going for. I didn't really want the engine to match the dark bronze on the wheel, because I'm really trying to play off a couple of the colors on the truck. So when I put patina sauce on this truck, this top is really going to darken up. It's going to look like that dark brown matte, kind of like the wheels look. But then when you shine up this and that really starts to pop, then that's going to give us kind of the burnt bronze color. So I'm not trying to perfectly match everything. I want to play off of the patina colors, because with the hubcaps and everything, when I clean these up and throw some stuff on them, they're going to have a couple different hues of bronze, you know, light, dark. But I think this is really going to turn out great. I did want to let you guys know though, I used one bottle of 4 ounce and it was almost enough to finish the whole engine. I actually got down to the oil pan and I ran out. So I was panicking, because you have to spray this on within a certain amount of time. But my friend over at BAM Customs Cerakote here in Murfreesboro, I emailed him late last night and he got back with me and said, "Hey bro, stop by and I'm going to hook you up with what I got left of the burnt bronze." just because my favorite truck I've ever had was a 67 C10. So he hooked me up. He was a lifesaver. Shout out to them. He does a lot of great Cerakote work on guns. He's done some work on headers and some bolt-on stuff. So he's very talented as well. He told me a few little tips and tricks. Since I sprayed this the next day, I took a red scuff pad and scuffed up the whole block and then put another coat on everything. But you can see, check that out. Man, it looks so good. And in the video you saw, I didn't do any, massive cleanup of the engine, which buying a crate engine already was pretty clean. But I used wax and grease remover with a green Scotch-Brite, cleaned it up, wiped it down, and this was the finished result, which I'm really happy about. Check out the details. This is where it's at. Just, it laid super clean, no trash or anything, and just laid down. So here's after about 5 days of curing. Looks like it got a little bit darker, may just be the lighting, but this is perfect. This is exactly how I wanted it. You can see where I taped off here. There's not much of a line. That's what's good about this stuff. It coats it really well, but it's not very thick. Here's where I taped off for the headers. I've got the headers here. And then the sensors, all the sensors I taped around on the back. Right here, right here. Then the steam ports, went ahead and taped those off. And if you're not sure how much to actually tape off, you can get your sensors and everything, kind of sit them in there and get an idea of how much you need to tape off. And you tape off for the oil right here. But everything looks really awesome. I love how the bolts look like they're coated, but they're not like caked up like paint does. Here's the next step to this is I had to get some more Cerakote. Went ahead and got a quart of it. About 8 ounces did the engine, and this is 32. So this should do the transmission and everything else. Here's what I'm working with. All the sensors, the gaskets, spark plugs, the distributor, which is a bracket that mounts on the back of the engine that you screw all your ignition coils to, and then you can run some of these vintage style spark plugs from the ignition coils to the front of the engine to make it look kind of retro. Here are the valve cover adapters. These just bolt in. It comes with all the hardware and everything. I'll show you guys how to bolt those in once I paint them. But I'm going to Cerakote these. And then I've got the Holley steam port. So this is the front that ties into the Holley mid mount. It's a nice kit. You can use your factory steam ports if you want. I had these from a past build, and I like how it ties into the front setup. But now it's time to take our valve covers. I've got the valve covers. I've got the rear block off plates. We are going to scuff those up with the red scuff pad, some wax and some grease remover. Get those ready to Cerakote. And I'm also going to Cerakote this intake manifold. I was going to leave it black. I set it on there. I wasn't a huge fan of it because I've got the dual snorkel air cleaner that's black, the Holley mid mount that's going on the front of the engine that's black, and I felt like this needed to be bronze as well. So I'm going to tape this off kind of everywhere that the metal is showing, and then scuff up all the black area and go ahead and get that burnt bronze as well. So as soon as this is dry and the valve covers are dry and these valve cover adapters are dry, we can install all that onto the engine. So I'm going to scuff them up, get them cleaned up, go ahead and spray those, let them be drying, and then I can install all the sensors and everything on the engine. All right, while we're waiting on the Cerakote to dry, we can go ahead and start installing some of our sensors into the engine and get all that buttoned up. So the first sensor is going to be the oil pressure sensor, and on the LS1 it's going to mount right here, and this is 26 foot-pounds of torque. I'm just going to get it tightened down right now with this wrench. A socket. Next is the camshaft position sensor. On this engine, it's going to be located back here because it's a 3rd gen. On the 4th gen, it's located on the very front of the engine. So we're going to just slide this in. This is going to go to 18 foot-pounds. Next is the crankshaft position sensor. It's going to go right here. On the driver's side of the block on the front, this is where the water temperature sensor goes. And there is normally a plug here on the other side. You can locate this on the other side to hide some wiring, but it's always best to have your water temperature sensor closest to the water pump up here. So that's where I'm going to mount it. I'll just have to either run the wire around the valve cover or down here. We'll figure that out depending on how the harness goes. The only sensor that we didn't install were the NOx sensors. Normally there's 2 NOx sensors right here. Those are not mandatory for this to work. My last engine did not have NOx sensors. If you want NOx sensors, then you'll need to get a valley cover that has the NOx sensors. The ACES setup does come with them, but you can unplug them and not hook them up. So I like this clean look. NOx sensors are unnecessary, but here is a recap of the other sensors: water temperature sensor, cam position sensor, oil pressure sensor, and crankshaft position sensor. Thank you guys again for watching. That's the end of part 1, but part 2 is coming very soon. I'm working on it right now. As you can see, there's a few other things that I have to button up before part 2 will be finished, but make sure hit the subscribe button, leave me a like, a comment if you're enjoying this build. But I look forward to posting another video probably next week, so stay tuned and check it out. See ya.